Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today, something grown, something every woman needs to understand, because once you understand it, your whole life, your whole dating world, your whole confidence will shift. The title today is Why Men Treat Some Women Like Queens and Others Like Options. Now, listen to me carefully, because this ain't about blame. It's about understanding the game. Men treat a woman like a queen when her standards demand respect, not when she begs for it. This truth cuts deeper than most people realize, because relationships are not built on what you hope for. They are built on what you require. When a woman carries herself with a sense of inner worth, a man senses that immediately. She doesn't walk around asking for validation or attention. She moves with certainty. She understands that respect is not something you chase down. It's something your energy naturally calls forward. A man can feel the difference between a woman who's hoping to be valued and a woman who knows she's valuable. That difference is what separates the queen from the option. A woman who demands respect doesn't do it with aggression, arrogance, or attitude. She does it with alignment. Her words and her actions match. She doesn't say, I want a man who treats me right, and then entertain a man who treats her poorly. She doesn't claim she wants honesty and then tolerate lies. When she sets a standard, she holds it. A woman like that becomes a mirror. It shows a man exactly where he stands. If he wants access to her life, he has to raise himself to her level. Men respond to clear expectations. They step into roles that have structure. When a woman shows him that the door to her heart is locked unless he brings integrity, consistency, and effort, a good man will rise to the expectation. A lazy man will get frustrated. Both responses tell her everything she needs to know. But when a woman begs for respect or attention, she unintentionally lowers her own value. The moment she starts proving herself, over giving or accepting treatment that goes against her worth, she teaches a man that he doesn't have to give much. And once a man realizes he doesn't have to give much, he gives even less. A woman can love deeply, but if that love isn't paired with standards, it gets taken for granted. Men don't respect what's always available, always forgiving, always understanding, even when it hurts. They respect what requires effort, discipline, and intention. The women who get treated like queens aren't perfect. They're consistent. They respect themselves so loudly that a man has no choice but to match that respect or walk away. They don't settle for uncertainty, mixed signals, or minimum effort. They know their time is valuable. They know their emotions matter. They know their presence is a blessing, not a prize a man wins by accident. This energy changes everything. When a man meets a woman who stands firm in her standards, he evaluates himself differently. He becomes more thoughtful. He becomes more intentional. He becomes more aware of how his actions reflect his character. That's the power of a woman who demands respect without ever raising her voice. Her standards speak louder than anything she could say. A woman who knows her value communicates it without attitude, just clarity and consistency. There is a quiet power in a woman who understands who she is and what she brings to the table. She doesn't need to raise her voice, argue, or prove her worth to anyone. Her presence speaks for her. Her self-respect shows in the way she carries herself, the way she speaks, the way she makes decisions, and the way she handles conflict. When a woman is rooted in her self-worth, she stops chasing validation and starts attracting respect. Men notice this immediately. They can feel when a woman isn't trying to impress them, but simply living authentically. That type of confidence is magnetic. She communicates her standards not through harsh ultimatums or emotional outbursts, but through calm, steady boundaries. She doesn't say, "Don't disrespect me." She simply doesn't stay where disrespect exists. She doesn't say, "I deserve consistency." She just distances herself from anyone who isn't consistent. Her clarity removes confusion. Her consistency removes mixed signals. This creates a certain stability around her that forces a man to understand exactly where he stands. When she says what she means and means what she says, she becomes predictable in the best way. She becomes a woman whose behavior matches her values. Men respond very differently to this kind of woman because she doesn't leave space for guessing games. She doesn't play hard to get. She is hard to get simply because she's selective about where she invests her heart and her time. She doesn't get pulled into emotional manipulation or back and forth drama. She listens, she evaluates, and then she chooses what aligns with her self-worth. Men respect her because she respects herself. They don't feel the need to test her, push her boundaries, or see what they can get away with. They know she won't entertain foolishness. She communicates with composure, even when she's hurt or disappointed, and that emotional strength is what sets her apart. A woman who knows her value also doesn't pretend to be okay when she's not. She doesn't shrink herself to make a man comfortable. She doesn't dim her intelligence, her ambition, or her personality just to be liked. She understands that the right man won't be intimidated by her strength, but inspired by it. She carries herself with dignity even in moments where vulnerability shows. She knows how to express her needs without demanding and how to express her feelings without breaking her own emotional boundaries. This balance is rare, and it's what makes a man take her seriously. Men quickly learn that they can't play with a woman who has this level of self-awareness. She won't tolerate excuses disguised as explanations. She won't accept crumbs disguised as effort. She won't settle for potential disguised as loyalty. Her inner knowing becomes a filter that removes the wrong man before she ever has to raise her voice. A man either steps up to meet her standards or steps out of her life, and she's perfectly at peace with either outcome. That calm confidence is what turns a woman from an option into a priority. Men prioritize women who prioritize themselves. This truth is one of the most overlooked realities in relationships, yet it is one of the most powerful. When a woman puts herself first, her peace, her goals, her emotional health, her dreams, she naturally commands a different level of respect. She isn't waiting to be chosen. She's choosing herself daily. She isn't sitting around hoping a man will see her worth. She's living in a way that reflects her worth with or without him. That independence, that self-devotion, that clarity of purpose, men feel it the moment they meet her. She becomes someone they don't want to lose because she clearly doesn't need them to be complete. A woman who prioritizes herself has a life outside of any man. She has hobbies, goals, routines, friendships, ambitions, and passions that she nurtures. She isn't available 24/7 because she's busy building herself. She's not waiting by the phone because she's involved in her own world. She doesn't lose herself. When she cares for someone, she stays grounded in who she is. This balance is attractive because men know she won't depend on them emotionally to fill every void. She isn't clingy or desperate because she's whole. A whole woman creates a whole different level of attraction. Men naturally invest more effort into women who don't revolve their lives around them. When a man meets a woman who has structure, discipline, and joy in her own life, he understands he has to bring something real to the table. He can't rely on empty promises or temporary effort. He recognizes that she values her time too much to waste it on inconsistency. When a woman shows that she's committed to herself, men become more committed to showing they deserve a place in her life. The energy shifts from pursuit out of convenience to pursuit out of genuine respect. A woman who prioritizes herself doesn't settle for relationships that drain her. She listens to her emotional signals and honors them. If something feels off, she investigates it. If something hurts her spirit, she distances herself. If someone disrupts her peace, she removes them from her life without guilt. She understands that her mental and emotional well-being matter more than forcing a connection. That kind of strength forces a man to think differently. He realizes that he must add value, not chaos. He must contribute to her life, not complicate it. Men also admire a woman who has standards around how she treats herself. When she dresses for herself, speaks lovingly to herself, takes care of her body, works on her goals, and constantly grows, she becomes inspirational. She becomes someone a man wants to protect, uplift, and impress, not because she demands it, but because she inspires it through her actions. A woman who prioritizes herself teaches a man how to treat her by showing how she treats herself. She doesn't ask for loyalty while accepting disrespect. She doesn't ask for love while neglecting her own self-love. She doesn't ask for effort while giving up on her own growth. She leads by example. Men place women like this at the top of their list because they know she doesn't fear losing them. She fears losing herself. And any woman who refuses to lose herself becomes unforgettable. If you want me to expand keynote 4, just let me know. A woman who sets boundaries early eliminates men who only want to play. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. They are doors that only open for the right person. When a woman establishes her expectations from the beginning, she sends a clear message about the type of treatment she will accept. She makes it known that her time is valuable, her emotions are not toys, and her heart is not a place for temporary visitors. Men instantly understand whether they can meet those expectations or whether they should step aside. The beauty of boundaries is that they do the filtering for her. She doesn't have to argue, convince, or beg anyone to treat her right. The men who are serious rise up, and the men who aren't fall back. When a woman clearly communicates what she stands for, she eliminates confusion. She doesn't let mixed signals slide. She doesn't allow inconsistency to become a pattern. She doesn't give energy to someone who only shows up when it's convenient. She makes it clear through her actions that effort is required, respect is non-negotiable, and honesty is expected. Men who are used to playing games quickly realize they cannot manipulate her with sweet words or temporary attention. They understand immediately that she has a standard, and that standard removes the space for manipulation, excuses, or half-hearted behavior. A woman with boundaries doesn't fear losing a man by being straightforward. She understands that the right man won't be scared off by her principles. If anything, he will admire her for them. She knows that stating what she wants doesn't make her demanding. It makes her responsible for her own happiness. She knows that saying no doesn't make her difficult. It makes her aligned with her own self-worth. And because she stands firm in her boundaries, she creates an environment where a relationship can grow in clarity and trust instead of confusion and disappointment. Men respect a woman who respects herself when she walks away from disrespect. She teaches a man that she values her dignity. When she refuses to tolerate inconsistency, she teaches him that she values emotional stability. When she doesn't entertain men who can't match her energy, she teaches him that she values reciprocity. These teachings don't come through lectures or arguments. They come through consistent behavior. Men are visual learners. They learn by seeing what a woman accepts and what she refuses. A woman with boundaries shows rather than tells how she expects to be treated. Boundaries also protect her heart. They prevent her from getting attached to someone who isn't investing in her. They keep her from falling into relationships where she is giving everything and receiving nothing. They guard her from emotional exhaustion, disappointment, and unnecessary heartbreak. And because her boundaries are in place early, she recognizes red flags before they become emotional wounds. She can walk away without hesitation because she never allowed someone to cross lines that should have never been crossed. A woman who sets boundaries early becomes a rare kind of woman, the kind who is respected, valued, and taken seriously. Not because she forces men to respect her, but because her boundaries make it impossible for the wrong men to stay. If you want me to expand keynote 5 next, just tell me. Men step up for women who don't chase them, but walk in purpose and confidence. There is something undeniably powerful about a woman who moves through life with direction, intention, and self-assurance. She isn't waiting for a man to pick her, validate her, or give her a sense of worth. She already has her own path, her own goals, and her own rhythm. When a woman walks in her purpose, she becomes magnetic, not because she is trying to attract anyone, but because she radiates certainty. Men feel that energy immediately. They know she is not someone they can distract with temporary affection or vague promises. She is focused, she is intentional, and she is secure in who she is becoming. A woman who doesn't chase a man shows that she understands her value. She doesn't need to send repeated messages, chase attention, or force conversations. She doesn't feel threatened by silence or distance because she knows what she deserves. She knows that the right man will make his presence known. She knows that a man who wants her will come towards her, not make her run after him. And because she knows this, she doesn't waste her energy trying to convince someone to choose her. Her energy goes toward her goals, her peace, and her personal growth. That self-focus naturally raises her value in the eyes of men. When a man sees a woman who is grounded in her own life, he understands that he has to be purposeful to be part of it. He has to match her pace, match her consistency, and match her intention. She does not adjust her standards to fit a man. The man adjusts himself to meet her. That shift creates a dynamic where he begins to put in real effort, not because she demands it, but because he wants to.